This
I'm
nigga don't listen.
quarantining. I'm quarantining with the family.
You in Vegas or what?
No, I'm in LA, and I got the whole family behind.
All right, what's up?
That nigga don't listen, bro. That nigga don't listen.
Nah, it's not that. We've all been together. Like that dude over there in the black. Like that's the person I work with daily to get my shit together. And me and this one right here, like she's been there every day.
She do your twisties?
No. My wife has been there every day. So it's all of us. We on.
Nigga, how long you plan on staying there? 2 weeks?
Nope.
No,
like 3 weeks.
No,
3 weeks.
We got the Airbnb popping off for the next 10 and a half days.
Hey, how's the weather out there?
The weather is
is it cold or is it cold or hot?
I'm right up the street from you.
Oh, nigga, it's the same weather that you're in right now, nigga.
Come on, bruh.
It's magnificent.
Like you want me to put
Welcome to the You Me and Mr.C show. I'm Steve-O. What up, y'all? How we doing? Yo, what's up, Forty? How we doing?
It's the family behind me.
Oh, all right. Nice family, y'all.
Hey, all of our listeners, hey, how you doing? My wife tested positive, but I tested negative.
Oh,
that nigga geeks about that. Hey, as you should be.
Hey, man, let's hope you pass the second test.
Yeah, please. Second wave's coming.
So she's asymptomatic, I'm assuming.
I don't know. We don't know what test it was.
I don't know
that she said plus,
has she had any symptoms?
No.
So
have
she's
you had
asymptomatic.
Have you? Yeah, exactly.
Okay. We want to be 100%. I was sick a couple of weeks ago.
Nigga got his wife sick.
We're going to take a little time out to kind of redirect ourselves back into why we started doing this show, right? Men of color. And so the topic for this week is toxic masculinity. Okay? And I like that reaction already by JP. You know what I'm saying?
Sound like a female right now.
I mean, bro, look at it. I will say this.
Toxic masculinity.
Oh, this guy. You know, you turtles or what?
If you want to say it like that, like Kermit and shit. I know when you hear comments like that, it comes off as man haters and all that shit. But the thing is this: when you look deeper into the post that they put on, they put examples of that shit, right? And Steve-O was reading a little bit before the show, and the main thing is this, right? Is that within toxic masculinity, it doesn't mean that all men are like that, but what it was saying was that we carry those traits. We have the potential to be like that if we're put in a situation or if we don't change our habits, right? And so that's why I want to just frame the show like that, is that I do want to talk about that issue, but I do also want to make sure that when we're talking about it, is that we also reflect about ourselves, right? Because I think that all of us on this call are way different dudes than we were when we were in a relationship in high school, in our early 20s.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
I'll agree to that.
And that's kind of what I want to speak on this show,
take
right?
that.
Okay,
I'll answer that.
So look, so you said you don't agree with toxic masculinity, right? So what does that mean for you? Does that mean that you don't? Yeah, what does that mean for you?
You know what that means? And I'm gonna just be 100 cut point blank 100%. Is that as a man in 2020, toxic masculinity is something brand new to me. And with that being said, I may be guilty of that shit all the way up till 2019. Just like our good friend Jimmy Kimmel would paint himself blackface in the middle of fucking The Man Show, which I also support and recommend everybody watch. But with that being said, toxic masculinity connected to that point, I guess I have to take that.
But what does that mean?
Well,
I mean, I'll throw it around now, right? I'm not going to just be on you, 40, but I asked you that question to kind of open it up, right? Like, number one, what's your thought as a man in regards to when you hear toxic masculinity? Because JP, you did that little shoulder shrug, right? So what's your first thought when you hear let's talk about that. Or whenever you hear somebody bringing that up, for you, is it something positive or is it something negative for you?
No, it's definitely not something positive. When I hear that, immediately what I'm thinking about is uh that's if somebody was to refer me, if somebody was to say that to me, it would just basically be like, look, my mindset is like somebody that's like, okay, I go out and work and my wife stays in the kitchen and makes continuing to also feel like, okay, you know, homosexuals are a bad thing. You feel me? Like teaching your kids, like, you know, shit like that, like gay people are wrong, shit like that. I think about other things like um just kind of teaching your kids that, like, you know, a man never cries or anything like that. That's all the kind of shit that I think about that's associated with toxic masculinity. I mean, it could be a little off, but those are the kind of things that I think about.
So for you, like, but for you, when I brought up this topic, like, why the shrug?
Well,
Like,
the reason that the reason that I had that shrug is because I'm starting to figure you out, bro. Like, I'm starting to figure you out, bro. And you be out here, man, trying to have topics for the ladies, bro. Like you out here like a feminist, bro. You know what I mean?
I mean,
So when you hit me with that, I was like, oh, this nigga trying to hit somebody heart chest right now. Like, oh, let's talk about toxic masculinity. Like,
You understand?
Over here trying to earn brownie points, bro.
I'll say my point. I'll let you all say
there, right?
You're trying to earn brownie points over there.
I'll let you all say your point. I'll say my point.
Look at my heart.
It's built off of that, right?
What's up?
Look at my heart. Like, I would never say.
What'd you say, 40?
I would never say.
I was just saying it's you, me, and then Mr.C over there. So yeah, I get where you're going. I'm just
ladies, I would never say the B word. I'll just send you flowers.
Steve-O, jump in on this, Steve-O, before I respond to.
Hello, guy.
What's up, 40?
Yo, what's up? What's going on?
Go ahead, Steve-O. Your thoughts on this?
Well, honestly, when you told me about it, I didn't really think anything of it. Like, I have no clue. And then after I read a little bit and piece of it, you know, I thought to myself, like, as a man, like, I mean, it's right. We have sometimes maybe not a comfortable time, maybe explain our mixed emotions towards another man, you know, and as brothers as well, like, we don't express that enough. So we express it with our women, right? And they take the shit after dealing with their bullshit too. So it's like, we got to talk about our emotions, our feelings. And I think if we do that, you know, we could be stronger and help each other out in whatever flaws that we got.
Tug on them heartstrings, baby. Tug on them heartstrings.
Look, I'm right here tugging, bro. But look, this. Let me explain myself a little bit, right? I mean, JP, you should know as much as I do, bro. You got raised around strong women.
I do. I do.
Okay.
I know what it is, bro. And I'm not denying it. I'm not denying it.
That's all. That's all I'm saying, right? Look, when I saw that post, and mind you, I didn't think of this topic till like pretty much like right before I called you today, because I saw it today and I saw the challenge, and it was like, I want to see homies be talking about this a little bit deeper.
Who had that challenge?
Huh?
Who had that challenge?
What? Latina Rebels.
Latina Rebels.
Yeah. And so for me, look it, nobody here is pressured to do shit. But you have to understand, right? Did you all forget?
Real.
Did you all forget why we do this show? I mean,
no,
it wasn't.
We do this show.
Look at 40.
We do this show to connect us to them.
That's real. That's real.
Okay. So look. So this is where I'm asking you all. Let's get into a real conversation. Cause we could do general, but let's reflect on ourselves, right? We understand what toxic masculinity is, right? And that's what I'm saying. Like, my big question here is, well, that was my first question, right? What is your thoughts on it? And obviously, it really depends on how you're pressed on this issue of toxic masculinity. Because I could tell you, in my experience, number one, I was raised by my mom, and she had her methods of how she did shit. And she won't admit them now, but she got her shit done the way she got it done. And she taught me a lot of stuff, and she taught me to respect women. My two sisters that are older,
Nice.
they teamed up on me consistently. So I got raised around strong women. So there's a natural respect for women that I have, right? The second thing is this. When I was in college, man, I got grilled, homie. Grilled by feminists and women, right? And part of it was a learning process. The other part of it was them learning who I was.
But that was, but at the same time, you were locked into the Sarah McLachlan movement.
I don't know what the fuck that means.
Look it up.
I thought
later.
you did, bro, because I don't know what it means either.
I don't know. Okay, I'll look it up.
Look it up later. But
Sarah McLachlan.
okay, and you know what? Let's go into the extra.
But let me
Hey,
finish.
remember, we
Let
don't
me-
have that much time.
Let me finish real fast.
We got like about
Let me
50
finish real fast because
I'll
we
back up on
got
that.
like 20 more minutes, right? We got some time. But look, my main point is this. This is not bullshit on my part, right? It's part of it. Understand, like me as a man, if I'm gonna be a good father, if I'm gonna be a good husband, if I'm gonna be a good leader, period, on my job that I do, I have to know myself and I have to know what makes me tick. And that's what I think toxic masculinity is. It's what makes you tick, what makes you stop caring about a person, and what makes you start controlling somebody or controlling a situation because there's shit within you that you haven't figured out or you're insecure about, right? That's my personal opinion on what it is. And so if I'm a man, I'm not refusing to have this conversation because it is about me controlling myself. And as best as I can control myself, it doesn't matter if there's a woman in my life. This is how I could treat my mom. This is how I could treat my sister. This is how I could treat my niece.
This is about how you actually treat yourself so that you can treat the next generation. Because if we look at it back and forth, it's not about how you react to the people that are already in your life. It's about how you react to who's coming behind you.
No, and I get all that. So I don't want to be general anymore. If you're gonna talk about yourself now. Let's make that rule for the remainder of the show. Okay. So
Fair enough. I
close
the door. Let's do this.
Okay, so this is my question to you all. As men, do you feel like you've been part of a level of practicing toxic masculinity? When did it happen and has it changed?
Okay.
That's my question. Let's go around.
Let me jump right into that. I married a very strong Black independent woman. And this independent, strong Black woman has multiple sisters and one brother. Those multiple sisters have actually had other kids to follow behind her. She is the only one that does not have children. So I have learned to deal with not only the children that have come behind her sisters, but the people that are coming behind those sisters that have children aside from that.
Okay, so, but let's focus on the question. The question is, in your life, Monse, or 40.
Okay.
When have you felt you've practiced toxic masculinity and has that changed? Do you still do it?
Yes, I still do it.
Okay, could you share a little bit about that?
Okay, so regardless of whether or not it is okay for all of the things I said for me to teach the people behind me and my wife to help them, I still practice like, oh shit, that's a fine bitch. Oh shit, let me catcall on this situation outside of my wife being right there. Is it fucked up? Absolutely. But at the same time, is it something that's ingrained in myself because of the culture? Absolutely. It's something that I will do because that's what I know. I know, oh shit, fat ass, good set of titties. Let me whistle out the fucking window. Whether that is a known cat call for me to say that's wrong or right, I'm going to still do it because I was born in 1982 and I was raised in the 90s and I was adult in the early 2000s and I'm a grown man right now. All of the things that have happened in my life have been set based off of the things that have happened. When I was born in 1982. And we all in this group base what we do off of the year we were born.
Well, look, you can't speak on me. I'm asking you to speak on yourself. So
I'm speaking on myself.
But look, let me
But
say
we
this.
have a strong, we still have a strong reference to when we were born.
No, I agree with that. We're socialized based on how we came around. Let me ask you this, Forty, and you don't have to answer right now because I want to go around with the same question, right? But I want you to think about this maybe towards the end of our show. Is that something you're willing to change? Something you want to change? Or is it just something you don't believe you could change, right? So think about that a little bit, right? Because I appreciate you, man, giving that example. Because it's hard to say that shit, right? In public, say, you know what, I can't call women in front of my wife, and I know it's wrong, but I appreciate that you being honest about how you practice that, right? So, okay. So Steve-O, JP, thoughts on that? Like, is it something that you feel like you still do, something you used to do, something you feel like needs to change?
Go in that direction. I'm sorry.
It's something that as I'm getting older, I'm trying not to do. You know, a lot of this shit that we do, where we paint these women like in a certain light, in a certain picture. Mm-hmm. Like when we used to have shit like Freak Nick or videos like Tip Drill, you feel me?
And by the way, just for anybody asking, that was between 1997 and 2000.
Right. So we started off with this idea that we could just
idolize,
yeah, and just I wouldn't say victimize women, but like just paint them in a certain light. So it taught the generation that was coming up to treat them a certain kind of way. And then it wasn't until later we realized, like, look, this is not right. You feel me? Just like how a lot of motherfuckers realizing right now, you feel me, that, hey, Black Lives Matter. You feel me? So it's one of those things where it's like, I know that I've done bad in the past, you feel me? But I understand now, and I am ready to move forward and paint women in a positive light. You feel me? One of the things that I've been thinking about, like, in the last couple of weeks is how I've been seeing a lot of articles and social media about how, like, Black women are like the most disrespected women, like, in the world. And it's like,
right. Because not only are they Black, but they women,
so it's like
with the culture connected to exactly what has happened to Black women since 1808, all the way to right now. Like it's definitely a situation where we end up sitting over there saying, like, we can disrespect this Black woman and go from that point.
Exactly. And I feel
I feel you, but at the same time, us as individuals, I am here right now to say that we can grow beyond that.
Yeah, and we'll get to that. 40. Remember, we got limited time, so I want to go around. So I want to make sure
got you.
So I think that, like, my mom, you know what I mean, and just like you, Mr. C, my mom, my sis, those are like my immediate family, all women. So it's like I know that it's up to me to be the most. It's up to me to protect them. You feel me? And I don't want that to sound as if it's like another like form of like
masculinity.
Masculinity, you know what I'm saying? I'm saying that because based off of like my physical stature, you feel me? I am one of the
Okay, Steve-O raising his hand, so let's go.
No. Steve-O's saying hi to somebody.
So one of the things that that I am unlearning that. And one of the things that I am trying to also unlearn is mansplaining. You feel me? If you've heard that term before. I would say out of all of the toxic masculinity issues that a lot of guys deal with, that's one thing that I'm working on trying to not do. And, I'll stop at
Explain that a little bit, because I don't think Steve-O understands what
the mansplaining is. Mansplaining is basically like when you're having a conversation with a woman and you're like, you think that you're the expert on it and she understands what it is, but like you're like, trying to basically simplify it in a way that simplify it in a way to make her understand, and you're constantly like, you know, talking over her and trying to like give examples when she already kind of knows what the fuck you're talking about. You know what I mean? So mansplaining is like, yeah, I mean, trying to, like, because I am this, I know, like, oh, this is how you fucking screw a socket wrench, or like, yeah, I mean, shit like that. I mean, like, that was a bad example, but yeah.
No. It's that, and it's also when, like, let's say you're in a meeting, right? And you pretty much want to say, like, a woman says something in a meeting, and then you just repeat it and you extend it. You already repeated what she said,
right,
and
right.
and then everybody listens to you because you're a guy. You probably have more pull in there with a certain situation. But this is the thing I was gonna say. For me, look, and I'll give this example because I said at the beginning, right? I grew up in a situation where I didn't really see it. My dad wasn't like that with my mom. You know what I'm saying? And so I grew up in an environment where I could say I wasn't around it, but I still did it in my relationship. You know what I'm saying?
But that means that doing it in that relationship means you were picking it up from at some point.
No, but see, that's a shit, 40, is that, like, I'm not the person that blames it on anybody. Like,
it's not a matter of blame.
No.
It's not a matter of blame.
Okay. But this is the thing. It is kind of a blame for me. That's how I see it. I'm giving my opinion. I'm not saying your opinion's wrong. I'm just saying that I grew up in an environment where I didn't see that shit. Yet when I got in a relationship, I acted that way with some of my partners. And when I look at that situation, I say, well, I can't blame it on somebody. I can't say that my dad was like that. I can't say that my best friend was like that. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have a brother either to see that with his partner. You know what I'm saying? So in my situation, I just think as men, we do this no matter what. And so at one point we got to say to ourselves, I got to stop blaming who I saw doing it, because once I understand that I do it, let's start trying to stop that shit. And that's my whole mentality, right? Because for me, I'll give you an example, right? I've always been this gentleman, right? The dude that you see doesn't use a B word. I try very hard not to be disrespectful. But this is the thing too, right? As a man in a relationship, I'm not gonna lie, there's times where I saw that I was controlling in a relationship, man. And that meant controlling a conversation, right? Intimidating somebody with what I know and making them feel like maybe they didn't know as much so that I could be right in a situation, right?
Yeah, but sometimes I'm not even.
But see, look, no. But this is what you're doing, 40. You're trying to think about your thoughts on my opinion. This is my opinion, bro. Let it be. Don't just hear me out. That's what I'm asking.
Okay.
Because now you're imposing what you believe on what I believe. And that's a problem with guys sometimes, that we don't need to do that with each other. You are who you are, and what your opinion is, I'm not going to judge you. I'm only going to give you my perspective, right? And that's what I'm saying is that I saw myself doing that shit in a relationship. I was a gentleman. I could have been with my partner like, hey, I love you. Yeah, let me hear you out. But I could, in my own way, manipulate the control, and then feeling like maybe Carlos is right, or maybe we shouldn't go there because he's going to get upset, or he's going to get bothered that we go there. He doesn't like going there. His little shit like that, where you would get all what we call senties, right? People would always say in my life, hey, Carlos gets senties. And I think I recognized that as a man, that was my toxic masculinity, that I could intimidate somebody by them being like, I'm not going to do that because Carlos is going to get bothered. And when that started happening with my partner, that's when I started realizing, damn, like, I don't want to be with somebody that's doing shit because they don't want me to get upset. That's when that's when that relationship didn't work out. And that's when I had to go on my own and say, change your shit, man, because you're getting butthurt. And I don't think that's the right term, but it's like, when you say senties, but that's my
Let's stop right there. So with that being said, what did you do to change what you physically saw was being a problem?
I left that relationship because it wasn't worth them to deal with that shit, and me too, because it was a toxic relationship all around. So some
people would say that you took the easy way out of dealing with the actual part that you're bringing up right now, is that you left the entire scenario. Where does that leave you with growth for yourself to build from that point? Now, you may have it right now because under certain type of realization, you came to it and said, you know what? That may be right or wrong. But at the same time, you're saying right now that you left the situation 100%.
Well,
and
look, you're asking me. You're asking.
Okay.
You're asking me what I did. You're asking me what I did.
Yeah, and you're right. And you're right.
I didn't just do one thing, 40. I left that relationship. That was one part of it. The other part of it was, as a man, step the fuck up and check yourself and change yourself. And part of it was I was insecure about myself, my body, my career, and I needed to fix that shit because it was just.
Wait a minute, you're the specimen I follow after to go work out. So what are you talking about? Is you were okay?
Well, there's life, man. So look,
we're gonna have a whole nother conversation about men and their own personal physicality to describe whether or not they're sexy. So we'll leave that to the side.
But this is the point.
1, 2, and 3. We'll figure out where we want.
But this is the point, 40, is that, see, the same way you reacted to my comment is proof of what I'm saying. You could look at a dude and think, that's a good dude. That's a gentleman right there. But you don't know behind closed doors how they treat people, how they treat women. And so that's what I'm saying. Like in my example, I grew up with a very good example. I grew up with my father. He was very respectful, my mother. I had no excuse to be like that, like the way I was in my relationships. But that's what I'm saying, like, it could just be that just because we're a dude, we just have that feeling, right? So, I mean, that's what I'm asking for, like a specific example. And Steve, we haven't got anything from you, so I need you to chime in on. I need you to chime in this conversation.
I'm trying to chime in, but I mean,
not a goddamn thing.
For me, I mean, me was always taught, to be, respectful towards women. So, for me, I
fuck these bitches.
And so
toxic masculinity.
Exactly.
So you're the same man right now that you were when you were in a relationship when you're 18 years old. That's what you're saying.
Whoa. That's a deep statement. Because that man's over 30 years old right now. So that's
what I'm saying.
Like, so there's a whole lot of lead into that question right there.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's essentially what I'm asking you all to think about or analyze or reflect on. Because we're talking right here, like, yeah, I'm a grown man, but we got to also give example because there's other men listening to this shit. I get it. I know you all. But the reason why I share my example is because there might be a dude in a relationship that thinks that he's a complete cool dude, but he's actually doing that shit. And he needs to recognize that. That's part of us as men checking each other, right? We don't need women to tell us to have this conversation. But what I'm saying is that when we do have it, we kind of don't have a real conversation. We kind of beat around the bush. And the example is Steve-O, man. You haven't said shit. You got a daughter, big dog. You have a partner. You've been in a lot of relationships. And all you're going to give me is, I got raised to be respectful of women. That doesn't answer any of the questions I've asked about this.
Well, what question are you trying to get then?
Okay.
Give me the question.
Have you ever been toxic in any relationships as a man?
Like, how so? What do you mean by toxic?
See what I'm saying, bro? Like,
you know what I'm saying? Like, what do you mean? Like, toxic? Like, have I ever hit a female? No, I haven't.
You ever been toxic in a relationship as a man? Okay, I just wanted to hear a yes answer. Okay, I'm walking back into my brother's face.
Yes or no? No.
But what I'm saying, okay, what do you want, Steve? See, this is the problem. It's not a multiple choice question. This is, as a man in a relationship, have you taken advantage of being a man to your partner? Meaning that you maybe spoke over her, or maybe you try to be controlling, or maybe okay, so none of that. You've never been like that.
No, hold up. I'm sorry. Okay. I realize what's actually being said right now. And Steve-O, I want to hear this answer because let me tell you something. I married my wife around the same time that you were 100% solid and you had a kid and you were raising that baby. And me and Carlos and JP, we was all in the situation. So please answer that question.
Please.
Yeah, bro, just answer the question, Steve-O. It's okay to say that, hey, one time in a relationship,
and you know what? I'm gonna be honest with you.
It's called pressure.
It's all of us It's all of us listening, but at the same time, I don't give a damn who's listening. It's one, 2, 3, and 4. Let's be real right now with ourselves.
I'm being real.
Okay.
Okay, so what do you want me to answer?
So you feel
Mr.
so?
C,
I'm gonna
go
grill. I'm
right
gonna
ahead.
grill. I'm gonna grill you a little bit.
Mr.
too.
Go
C,
ahead,
go
put some
right
fucking
ahead.
cheese on that shit,
And
man.
the gentleman,
Put
and the
some
Mr.
cheese
C,
gentleman,
on
go
it.
right
Call it
ahead.
a grilled
Put
cheese,
some
guy.
C, go
cheese on
right
it.
You know what I'm
ahead.
saying?
and the gentleman had to allow me to do this because I never really do this to Steve-O. We let him pass, right?
Yeah,
But
of course.
Steve-O, I mean, look,
Give me the hot pass, bro.
I think you don't understand the question, maybe.
Probably
Maybe that's
not.
why.
Probably
But
not. But the thing that what I do understand is you're trying to
he's
bring.
being defensive. Look at guys, this is him being defensive.
He's being defensive.
I'm not being.
Captain
I'm not being
Planet.
defensive, dude. Come on, bro.
Okay, go ahead.
I know you
I'm
like that
listening.
show.
I'm
I know
I'm
you like
listening.
that show. But you're trying to make me come out with some toxic shit just to stir something up. I mean, what do you
I'm
want
not
me
trying
say?
to stir anything up. I'm not. I'm
You
just
know?
saying
Like,
that.
okay.
I'm just
What do you
saying, like,
want to know?
I mean, I want to know everything, bro.
Okay.
What I'm saying is this:
Yeah.
is that so you
No.
understand this, Steve, right? As a man
Mhm.
in this society, you're given a higher regard than women. Yes or no?
No.
You don't believe that?
No.
Okay. You think so? What do you feel? How do you feel you compare to women as a man?
Meaning that if I think I'm better than a woman? No.
Shit
I mean,
stinks.
we're equal, man. We're equal, bro. And
You're equal. You're equal,
yeah,
bro. Okay.
we're equal.
y'all-
But
Said we're equal.
Okay.
you know, and the ability of knowing, being educated,
Over
just,
here, huh?
educated, and just kind of how to kind of you carry yourself, right?
Okay. So next question. I got a couple questions. Trust me, guys. I'm getting
Hit 'em.
somewhere.
Hit 'em.
This is my first ever public display of me being a lawyer. So, second question, Steve-O. Okay.
Damn.
Would you say agree or disagree? Right? Have you ever disrespected a woman ever in your life?
No, I haven't.
Never.
No.
I'm gonna be
Okay.
with you.
So let me ask you this. So if I were to
I'm a-
bring,
Be 100 with you. Hold on, time out. I'm gonna save everybody a couple of minutes, and I'm now recording from this mega speaker. I'm done.
okay. So, Steve-O, if I were to ever bring up on this show one of your ex-girlfriends, your younger sister, or your mom, all of them would say you never did anything where they felt disrespected, or they would say that you never did anything that they felt that you were taken advantage because you were a man in the situation. They would all agree that you never done anything to them in your life.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Then I'm gonna let it be. And say, you know what? You are the example, bro. And we should all be bowing down to your ass. Ladies and gentlemen.
Why?
I can see a beautiful
Because you're the perfect
episode of
man.
old stuff.
I never said that. You put that in my mouth.
That shit is coming back.
Okay. So we're
Get
gonna
your
wrap this up.
investor. Hey, get your private investigator on, bruh.
Oh,
Yeah, bro.
Let's make it
Well, look
happen.
it. We're gonna start wrapping it up, gentlemen. But unless you have any other thoughts, JP or Steve-O.
Look, toxic masculinity is something that I'm working on. Like I said, growing up, it was something that was kind of like embedded in me because of where I was raised, what I saw as examples in the culture. You know what I mean? Like I said, shit like watching stuff like Freaknik and the Tip Drill video and shit, seeing shit that just like objectified women. I don't know if that was the term that I should use, but it was something that it was something that I had no idea that this is what I was really doing until I got older and realized exactly how women should be treated. You feel me? I just actually watched the whole Jeffrey Epstein document like today,
Yeah.
and watching that and just seeing that shit, and like it just added another another part that I've never even thought about that could be a possibility. You know, so you never know what people are going through. So at the end of the day, I stick with the model like, man, treat someone how you would want to be treated, and that's how I'm moving forward, and that's how I'm running my life.
Yeah, and I think, Steve, you got something to say?
No, man, just respect everybody in general. Women, men, just respect them all, you know?
And look, I'm not gonna apologize for coming after you, Steve-O, but this is the thing.
I didn't know you were coming after me.
I know, I'm sure you didn't. But the reason is I don't do that to be disrespectful. I think, look, at the full circle on this conversation, gentlemen, is that the challenge that was
what do you consider that toxic masculinity?
What?
That what you just did about attacking me?
I mean, amongst men, yes.
Okay. Would you be able to improve that characteristic, or do you think that that's just always going to be you no matter what?
No, I get it. Look, you're being funny. You're being funny, but I think you're right.
Have you ever done that to JP? Hey, JP, has he ever done that to you? Vice versa? Question asked too, twice.
As far as what?
Yeah. Now you want to talk about it, huh? This is what you want me to be? You want me to be a toxic, whatever it is that you fucking ask or say? I'm talking to Mr.C now.
But I'm trying to
this kind of shit right here. Is this what you want?
Yes.
You can have it, but I'm not gonna do it.
I wish you did this. I wish you did this in the middle of the show, Steve.
I know, right? And so I'm sorry, but that's just how it goes. 40 came out the picture. He didn't want to be more of a part of it. So I mean, that's it. That's just what it is.
I mean,
auto-tune the rest of it. You know.
I'm so confused.
Yeah, I know. Look, I'll explain it for you, JP.
Please,
Look,
JP.
the thing is this: to come back full circle to this conversation, right? Is the point of having it was that we as men, we don't often have conversations, and it doesn't have to be called toxic masculinity. That is what the situation and the topic that it's called. But as men, it could be called checking yourself, checking each other, mentorship. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Brotherhood. That is what true toxic masculinity erasing is, bro. It's being a homie, it's being a brother, checking your brother, checking your homie. When we start hearing it as toxic masculinity, that's when we as men say, fuck, that's women coming after us. And the shit is, we don't need women to come after us. It is not their responsibility to come after us, right? They got their own shit and their own trauma that they're going through. As we as men, we need to check each other, right?
That's right.
Me wanting to have this conversation today was to get the ball rolling on having a conversation over checking ourselves. We don't have to call it toxic masculinity. We don't have to do that, but let's check each other, right? Because when we do that, then we could easily more share what we're going through or what the situation is. But when we don't talk about it, it's going to turn into, well, what do you mean? What are you asking me? I don't understand, because it's not normal. And so I understand everything that happened in this show, including what 40 brought. Everything is a nutshell of what it's going to take to handle this conversation. Toxic masculinity, or checking each other, or being a mentor, or being a brother. So that's the main thing about doing this. I wanted to open up that conversation. And so for whoever's watching this show, you know, please let us know what you think. Please have those conversations with one another. And we'll make sure to bring this back up in old stuff, because maybe by next week when we have this conversation, we've had some more thoughts on it, because we need to keep this conversation rolling, right? But gentlemen, where can people find you on social media?
Man, you can rock with your boy Jacques Payne 97. That's JACQ JACQUESPAIN 97.
You can catch this. This is Stevo at THISSTEVO.
Correction, 87, not 97. That's my email.
All right.
My IG is 87.
Cool.
Jack Payne 87. All right, you catch 40 on the show. He's out of the show right now, but you can catch him at Mr. That's Mr.40ORTY at Instagram. You can catch our show at Yumi and Mr.C. So for all of us, keep catching us on Instagram, keep catching us on YouTube, and we'll catch you next week. Peace out, y'all.
Oh, God.
Besos.